I'm going to show you how to create a 1D array in Visual Basic. Well, there are two methods that we can use, an initialized array and an uninitialized array which accepts input. So I'm going to start off with an initialized array. So this is how you declare your array. It's dim. I'm going to call this array nums. That's the name of the array. So since I'm going to be initializing it, I just put the brackets that are empty without the size of the array equals. So before you put the equals, you initialize, you specify the data type. So you dim nums as integer, it's going to accept integer values, and then we initialize it now equals, and this is how we initialize the array, the curly braces, and then we put the values that we need to then output from in the screen. That is, I'm going to output 10 as integer, and then 100 as integer, and 1000 like this. So to output this on a console screen, there are so many ways we can use. I'm going to use the for each loop in this one. So we put it like this: for each element, like this, as integer, that is the data type of our array, as integer in the name of the array, that is nums. Then we now output it in the screen. So we use the console dot write line, and then since we're going to be picking out the element, we don't have to put the quotes. So we don't need the text, we need the element. So we then write the element. So for each element, that is 10, 100, and 1000, is going to write on the screen each element 10, 100, and 1000. So if we run this code, we forgot something that we need to work on, because our screen will just disappear. So I'm going to show you. So if you realize, if I press enter, the screen will quickly disappear. We don't want that. So this is how we solve the problem. Just outside our for each next, we then write console dot read key. This is to prevent our screen from just disappearing after outputting values. But you need to note, each loop is closed with the next. So in most advanced Visual Basic code, you get to realize that the moment you start typing for each, the next appears. But if it somehow doesn't appear, you need to make sure that you input it, or else you have an error. So let's run this code again. And there we go. And our screen doesn't disappear until it reads the screen. So I'm going to click enter, and then it disappears like this. So this is how you write an initialized array. But if you don't want to initialize the array, but you want to accept values, so we're just gonna do this again. So I'm going to start over from here. So I'm going to use the array nums again, but this time I need the array to have a size of 2, meaning that it will accept 3 values, that is from 0 up to 2, that is 0, 1, 2, that are 3 values. So it's going to have a size of 2, and as integer, that's the data type, right? So we're not going to initialize it, but we're going to accept the value. So this is how we do it. So we then write, but we need to continually accept the value. So we use the for loop. So it's for I, that's the counter. For I is equals to then the range, that is 0 to 2. It's going to run from 0 up to 2, that is 0, 1, 2. Then we console dot write line. It's going to ask the user to enter any number. So this is how we do it. Since we're going to output this text, we put it in quotes. So we say enter first number, enter first number like this, and then that number we're going to store it in our array. So we write it like this. Our array is called to nums, but it's going to save that number as per counter. So it's going to start off when the counter starts at 0, it starts with I. So we save it as nums as I is equals to console dot readline like this. So it's like every time the loop array runs for the first time, that is from 0, that is from I, it then saves that number, and then it asks again the user to enter another number until the loop runs to 2. So when then it runs to 2, it then outputs the information, but we don't have the code to output the information yet. So this is how we do it now. We now need a different loop to output the information. So we then say for each element, again it's the same concept, for each element as integer in nums, then we say console dot writeline is going to still output each element. And like we talked about before, to prevent your screen from just disappearing, you put the console dot read key like this, and then it should do it. So let's run and see. So I enter 10, I enter 100, I enter 1000, and there you go. The 10 and 100 and 1000 has appeared. So this is how you do it. So you can actually nicen the code to make sure that you can clearly see where each place starts and ends. So I'm going to just make some decorations, but the program is already complete. So I'm going to just need a demarcation, that's console dot writeline. I just need to put a line after the input. So I'm just going to put this. No, I don't need it here. I need it just after the last input like this. So if you run it again, you should realize it could be much readable than it was before. Like this, I enter 10, I enter 100, I enter 1000, and there you go. 10, 100, and 1000. Okay, it's the 100 and 100 twice, so it's going to be 100. And when you do that, you're done.